Hey guys, we are here again. Welcome back to the latest edition of 100 Days of Awesome People. I'm sitting next to another very special guest of mine, very good friend of mine, and actually a very good mentor in my life as well here. I want to introduce you to Rich Words. Rich, how you been, man?
I've been doing great. Excited about the interview and deeply honored that you asked me to be a part of your series.
No problem, man. No problem at all. I just wanted to get you on here right now because I wanted everyone that I know to just see the guy who really came into my life at a time where I really needed a mentor and someone who really knew a lot about life that I just didn't know. And that's where you came in, Rich. And I know that with tips and success tips, they all just don't come from one person. It's a collection of knowledge from many different people. So we're going to talk about mentorship in this one. So it's going to talk about how you got into the place you are in life.
Okay. Well, how much tape do you got? Because it's not just a blanket answer. It's without getting into a lot of details. It's kind of my story. It wasn't that I intended on ever becoming a mentor. It was just something that, as I've gone through life, I got a mentor. I need to mentor people, and you'll get to the point too where you're going to have people that you're mentoring, and it stemmed from not wanting to be average. So I'll do this. I'm gonna shoot through Rich 101 up to this point, just so you can kind of get a flavor of kind of where I came from. So like most people that you probably grew up with, didn't really have a silver spoon in my mouth. And when my mom and I were growing up, it was just me, my brother, and my mom. I learned something very quickly as I was growing up, that everybody else had a little something different. It was that family unit, mom, dad, they had the big house, they had a car. They looked at what I thought was success. But what I didn't see was all the people in their lives that were influencing how that was happening. Because I was always told go to school, go to college, get a good job, you live the American dream, everything's gonna be all right. So I started doing everything Rich's way. It was I'm gonna prove to everyone that I can make it. I don't need a dad. I can do this on my own. I'm gonna get through school. I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna have money raining down on me. I'm gonna make it rain, right? That's what I thought was gonna happen. So I did what I could, listen to mom as much as I could. And one thing that was instilled into me is that if I wanted to make it out of where I was at, I was going to have to pay attention in school. So I did that, did the whole school thing, got out, ran track, got the scholarship, got the academics, went to school, and graduated. And I thought, okay, I did what they told me to do. Boom, land a job. I'm thinking, okay, I got this going on. And I get to working, and my mind was always set on what's that next step. And so they were like, go back and get your master's degree. And I'm like, I'm going to go back and get my master's degree. And it wasn't because of anything that somebody was telling me to do. I thought I had to do that because I'm working off my own knowledge, right? And I'll get into the difference between knowledge and wisdom here in a second. And so I did what I thought I knew I was supposed to do. And soon after I got my master's degree, I'm like, all right, this is where things really pop off for Rich. This is where I started making the hundreds of $1,000s a year. I'm gonna, have that corporate office. I'm gonna be, looking down on all my minions, and just doing what I thought I saw on TV, right? And it didn't work out that way. This was a stark reality to me because when I had my degree, I was like, okay, I got my undergrad, I got my master's degree. Showed it to my boss. I'm like, what are we gonna do now? He was like, you're gonna get back to work. And that's when I realized I'm building somebody else's dream. And up to this point, I have been using my own knowledge to get where I needed to go. And what I really realized is later on, after I actually got a mentor, that I needed wisdom. And that's when you take the knowledge and experiences of other people and you apply it into your life. And so hopefully that's what I'm doing for you, right? And so to keep people from having to go through the trials and tribulations and the heartache of, okay, I think I can do this on my own, I try to tell people, look, don't do my way. do what I've learned, and you'll get a lot further in life faster than I did. So probably I would say, because we met in, gosh, it was 6 years ago, something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. So a couple years before that, here's where my story took off. My wife and I were looking for second jobs because, unbeknownst to everybody else, they thought we were rich because we had a job. And the sad part about it is there's a bunch of people that graduate in college today, can't get a job in their profession, or they're underpaid, or they have the degree and they have a job that has nothing to do with their degree, so they have a job, but they kind of are in the same boat that I was when I first started working. Was I work at a prestigious place. I think I'm making good money, but I'm living paycheck to paycheck, so we said, let's go get second jobs. Everywhere we went to was like, oh, you're overqualified. And I'm like, but you got a help wanted ad in the paper, you got a help wanted sign in your window. We couldn't get a job. And at that point is when I hit rock bottom. I was like, well, I guess this is what we're going to be doing until, retire. Until I ran into somebody that said, hey, young cat, do you keep your options open to mentorship and learning a different way? What do I got to lose? And so I got hooked up with some really important people in my life that taught me how to handle my finances, how to make goals, look for the future, build an asset, put myself into that, what we call the X factor, where what happens to my family if I'm not here? That future planning, instead of trying to keep up with the Joneses and do everything now, do some little bit of delayed gratification so that you can get what you want. And here's where it put me. I'm not rich by any means, but if you look across my family, and this isn't me bragging, this is just a stark reality of kind of where my family was and where I'm at now. I'm one of the few people in my family who actually own their home and was one of the first ones to buy one. My wife and I are able to do the kind of things we want to do because we've been able to set money away. Now, it's not a lot of money, but when something breaks, we get it fixed. We got out from underneath the upside down house. We paid off 3 cars. All of our school loan, undergrad and grad, from both of us is paid off. And what's nice about it is we can take all of our energy and time and our family life and devote it to what we really want to do now outside of working a regular 9 to 5. And so that's when I figured, if someone could do that for me on a small scale, how many other people can I do that for? Because what I figured out is kind of like you, I'm not trying to be your savior, but you know what? I can reach my hand out to anybody else and say, I figured out some kind of stuff. Do you mind if I share it with you? And that's what I do. And so because of all that, I think we've been blessed. I think we've been doing some things that I've learned throughout my life, whether it be in school, my fraternity, church, whatever. There's a lot of different people who have impacted my life, and I take all of that in and I can give it to somebody else, because no one can live my life. You can't go through 38 years and be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what Rich knows. I don't want you to do that. That'd be wasting your time. I can take all the good stuff from what I learned and say, hey, let me package it for you this way. Just like I can take from all my mentors and say, I can't live your life over again, but just tell me what I need to do to further myself along, because if we can get enough people doing that, we can move mountains.
Exactly.
And so that's what I'm excited about. So that's Rich 101, kind of where I come through. And so so when we get to the point where I meet you, it's one of those ways you can give back, right? Because here's what I figured out with mentoring. Excuse me. I can only touch the people that are in my immediate network, right? But when I connect myself to somebody else, now I have access to that network. And now we have a further reach. Because you grew up here. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Kansas City, right? So my network of people and the people that I know throughout my life are those pockets. Well, why can't I reach the people that you know? Well, now I can. And what about that person you meet? That person may be from the East Coast, West Coast, whatever. Now our network is expanded there where we can have a further reach, and we become a fisherman of men, right? And it gets exciting. It's infectious, right? Because when you start helping people, it's like, okay, we actually did something big, and then we take all that collective of people together, and you do finances, you do knowledge, you do, that physical power, building things. There's no stopping where you can go. Instead of it just being me and, okay, well, I went to work, I did my 40 hours, I brought home my paycheck, I'm gonna take care of my house. Great. What about my neighbors? What about my neighborhood? What am I doing for the rest of my community? What can the city be doing? What can I do for my state? What can I do for the country? And it's a progression of the people that I've hung out with, the books I read, the audios that I listen to from other successful people, and this was all given to me from people who are doing exactly what I do in my spare time, teaching me how to do it. That I would have never ever got exposed to because it was never presented to anybody else in my family or anything like that. So now I believe it's my responsibility to tell the people about it.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that together that we can move mountains, because the main goal of this whole project is letting people know that you don't have to be like some big shot movie star or some big shot athlete to to make an impact in people's lives. I mean,
Right.
impact happens next door,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many good stories out here that we'll never know them if we don't extend our hand to people.
And it's funny you say that too, because I run into people where they're like, Mr. Parker from such and such, or, Ma James from here was a big influence in my life. And these are people that you have access to. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I love celebrities that, give you hope and tell you their story, because everybody loves that rags to riches story or that struggle victory kind of thing going on. But here's the problem with that. In Hollywood, like, one of my favorite actors is Will Smith. And, I love the movies he's done. And if you just read up on his story, you're like, man, this is a great story. Here's the problem with Hollywood, though. When you go see those types of movies like The Pursuit of Happiness, let's talk about that for a second. You see that it wasn't an overnight struggle, but you see that in a 2-hour movie. So to you, it's like, boom, success. And even though the movie portrays it over time, they don't get into every single detail. We don't see what he did every single day. Chris Gardner actually had to do a lot of stuff that they could not package up into that movie. They had to put it in Hollywood terms, right? And we don't get that one-on-one, hey, can we talk to you, Chris, real quick? And, can you mentor me through this? Because he's busy, he's got other things going on. But here in the community, there's people who've done that don't have the luxury of being on TV. They're not a movie star. They don't have the money, but they've touched so many people around here in the community, we just don't know it. And that's where people like you and me come in, because now we are that extended reach, right? We have a struggle victory story too. It's dependent on what you do with it. You're either going to be an example no matter what. You're going to be a good one or a bad one. So we might as well try as much as we can to be that good example, so we can show people exactly what they can do. And so my goal is for my son to be like, you know what, I have a hero, and it's not, and don't get me wrong, because these guys are great. It isn't like a LeBron James. It isn't a Denzel Washington. It isn't, a Will Smith or whatever. All great people, right? It's Dad, because he showed me how to succeed.
And that is really awesome.
Yeah, that's just personally what I wanted, because I didn't have that growing up. If somebody said, who do you look up to? Well, let's see. Who on TV do you want me to pick? Because we lived our dreams through TV. We saw everything that we wanted in life was because of somebody else that we saw on TV, or if we would drive around and we see these nice large houses, and we always want to be like, oh, let's drive through there and see what's going on. Or actually, I take that back. We didn't have a car, but it was like if the bus route was going through there, we'd be like, man, I wish the bus would just ride through there so we can see what they do. If growing up, if you had a house with a driveway, you were rich to me. You had it going on. If you could actually buy your lunch instead of bringing it, you had Benjamins lying in your bed sheets, whatever. So it's the reality of what you see And don't get me wrong, it's always the grass is always green on the side of the fence kind of mentality. But when you start realizing that, once you make your yard, if your yard is green and plush and you got something good going on, it'll spread over to other people's yards. But you have to be willing to do that. So, are you a fertilizer? Or are you just a bunch of Roundup going like, I gotta do my perimeter so nobody else gets in? So that's what we do.
Yeah. Now I know earlier you mentioned the books you read. Reading is very important as well.
Absolutely.
Because I love going to movies and everything like that. But movies, that's good entertainment. But it's not gonna help me later on in life and everything like that.
True.
So kind of, if you can, talk about just what you're reading that's helping you out.
Oh man. Okay. So what I like is I like books that read like a story. And so one of the best examples of a book that I talk to people about is a book called The Go-Getter. And if you've never read it before, it talks about the blue vase and the blue vase mentality of what somebody's willing to do to get their goal. And I had to think about, what have I done? What crazy things have I sacrificed to do just to hit a goal that I'm not willing to do now? And one of my mentors told me that, it's funny that a lot of people will do just about anything they can to get to an event or to do something when they're young, but as soon as they graduate and they get out of school, they quit dreaming, they quit doing the things they want to do. Because I thought about what kind of blue vase mentality stuff did I used to do. Just as an example, I used to get up at 5 a.m. and run to high school so I could get onto the track so I could practice long and triple jumping because my goal was to get to state. I knew that I had a place in the top 3 to go. And I did that my freshman year. My sophomore year, my junior year, got hurt. Senior year, made it. But that was my focus, and that's what I attributed a lot of my success in that arena to, because there was nothing that wasn't going to keep me from getting there. Just like, you're not going to get six-pack abs just by going to the gym one time. There's got to be some commitment, and you'll do whatever you have to do to get into the gym to make that happen, right? Well, it's funny to me that people want to be successful, but they're not willing to take the steps in order to do what they need to do. And I didn't realize that I was going down that path after I graduated college, because it had been ingrained to me, someone has to tell you what to do and then you can do it. Like, you're going to get this degree and you're going to work here and you're going to get paid this much because that's how much you're worth. No, that's not how much you're worth. And what's funny in the book, the Go-Getter, is it tells you exactly, as it reads through the story, what someone's willing to do to get their blue vase. Another book that was given to me is The Magic of Thinking Big. It's a thicker book, but I was told to read chapters 2, 12, and 13. And here's the cool thing about it. It talked about 3 failure diseases, and I didn't realize I had them. And I'll go ahead and tell you what they are. It was, detailitis, excuseitis, and procrastination. As soon as I got rid of these 3 things, I was like, man, life is really good. You get a lot of things done. And there's success principles that haven't ever changed over time. You can go to any Barnes and Nobles, any one of the bookstores around here, and you can go to all the self-help sections and see the purple books, the self-help, everything you need to do. It's all there waiting for you to do it. You didn't have to pull it off the shelf and get it. Here's my problem. I would get overwhelmed with seeing all the books. I didn't have any focus on, okay, what should I be doing? It was like, oh, I can go learn Tai Chi, or I can, there's a lot of stuff you can do, right? That's where my mentor came into play. He was like, okay, what are you trying to accomplish? What is it that you want to be in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Here's the book you should read. Why? Because I read it. And I know how this book will help you. And matter of fact, when I read it the 15th time, this is what I got out of it. And so if you go into my bookshelf and look at the books I got there, I got multiple copies of books, all the ones that have been recommended to me, and I pick up a new book and I read it, because if I look at my highlights from the last time that I read it, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, well that's what I was thinking about this time. Well, no, every single time I read it over and over again, there's different highlights in it. And books like that just got me. I mean, The Friendship Factor. Oh my gosh, we wouldn't have met if I didn't read that book. How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's just a lot of them out there, and I tell you, the things that I read in those books helped me not only in my business, they helped me in work, they helped me with my relationship. Oh my gosh, I have more relationship books than anything, because here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the best husband I could be for my wife. I wanted to be the best father I could be for my children when we had them. And now that we have kids, it's just like, where was I at mentally, when I first read the book to now? I'm like, okay, there's my son is here, and I'm reading this book and I see exactly how it reflects on him. Or my wife, I'm just like, why wouldn't I read her needs, his needs, love and respect, the 5 love languages. Let me tell you that when I read that book, someone gave me that book a week before we got married, and I was like, okay, so my wife's love language is, quality time, and she likes gift giving. Okay, whereas I'm the kind of person that's an acts of service kind of dude, and I'm just like, if we didn't know that, we'd be divorced today. So when it comes to having a mentor, they're going to help you not only in your financial endeavor, but life in general, because we only get to live this life once, right? Mm-hmm. I want to do it as right as I can. So if I had a recommendation for people, it isn't just one book, it's getting really with a mentor that can tell you what book to read.
Awesome. Well, Rich, man, you gave us a lot of information. Right, we actually are running out of time here on the camera. So I want to say thanks, man, for being my guest here. And if you want to see the rest of my guests, go ahead and just click the links above my head right now. That's right. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can see all the other people, and hit like on my Facebook page to see what I have going on next. So thank you again, and I'll see you soon.
I wanted to open a place that would, when I was 14, what would I want? Because I started when I was 14 years old. Like, what kind of place do I want to hang out at? So that's what I did.